back underway. I'd now like to invite up to the stage a very distinguished man. Had a pleasure of meeting. Goes by the name of Serge Dupuis. He's a PEng, Council President of the Association of Professional Engineers and Geoscientists of New Brunswick. He's going to come on up to the stage and speak to introduce our guest of honor. Give it up for Serge Dupuis.
Thank you, Dave, and good afternoon, everyone. Bon après-midi et bienvenue. Ladies and gentlemen, as Dave noted, I am the Council President for the Association of Engineers and Geoscientists of New Brunswick. Quite a mouthful, right? So we affectionately like to call ourselves APEG-NB. So for those of you not familiar with APEG-NB, we are the provincial regulator for the engineering and geoscientist professions. What exactly does that mean? Well, we establish and maintain the standards of knowledge and skills for the professions, as well as the professional ethics for practice of the professions, all with the purpose to ensure the public interest is served and protected. It's a very important role that we take very seriously. We are also not a very young organization. I know I may not look it, but we have been around for nearly 100 years. In 2020, we will celebrate 100 years of regulatory excellence. J'espère que vous vous joindrez tous à nous pour célébrer notre rôle important de l'autoréglementation dans notre société et aux normes éthiques élevées que nous devons établir et respecter dans nos professions. On behalf of APEG-NB's Council, who most of them are here today, we are very pleased again to sponsor the State of the City. As you all know, His Worship is an engineer, and we are proud to call him a member. There are three common threads that weave through Mike O'Brien's rise to become Mayor of Fredericton: a lifetime of public service, a visionary insight, and a compassion for the less advantaged. Combined with his love for his community, these traits resulted in a city stronger and more inclusive than it otherwise may have been. Career-wise, he made his mark as a professional engineer. After graduating from UNB, he went on to work for General Motors, a national consulting firm, and an international food processing company. He completed his career as a vice president and then acting president of the New Brunswick Liquor Corporation. Le maire Mike a eu une carrière distinguée dans le sport amateur et a été intronisé au temple de la renommée du baseball du Nouveau-Brunswick. Il est également dévoué à sa communauté. Depuis sa jeunesse, au fil des ans, il a siégé à de nombreux comités économiques et de loisirs et consultatifs, ainsi que sur des conseils scolaires et d'hôpitaux. Together with his community involvement, Mayor Mike also has a distinguished record of elected service. After first being voted to the City Council in 2001, he was re-elected in the subsequent 3 elections. Then, in 2016, was elected mayor. He notes his highlights as a councillor as creating the city's first affordable housing committee and of chairing the adoption of the city's visionary long-term fiscal plan and the process improvement program. As mayor, he created the mayor's first task force on homelessness and has oversight of Imagine Fredericton, the exciting plan for Fredericton's continued growth and prosperity. Combined with his focus on leaving no one behind, these initiatives have positioned Fredericton as one of the most progressive, sustainable, and vibrant communities in the country. Mesdames et messieurs, please welcome my engineering colleague and the hard-working mayor of this great city, Mike O'Brien, PEng.
Thank you, sirs. Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much. It's a real honor and pleasure to be here again. And Serge, thank you for that introduction. On the way here, Anne kept reminding me, she says, Mike, don't try to be too witty, charming, or intellectual. Just be yourself. Okie dokie. So anyways, look, this has been quite a year for us. We went through a lot. We had the tragedy of last August. We had a long, hard winter. And then we had the floods this spring. So it's a pretty resilient, we went through tough, but a resilient community. But there's been a lot of good things that have happened. I'm going to talk about some of them as well, along with some of our challenges. But you can't do anything without partners and strong teamwork. And that's what our city is all about. I'm going to start with our amazing Chamber of Commerce. And President Karen and CEO Krista and your teams, the award-winning chamber, you do such wonderful work advocating for the business, promoting a strong economy, and working with other levels of government to move the city forward. So thank you for all of that. Our city staff, led by our CAO, Chris McPherson, and our Deputy CAO, Jeff Trail, and all our directors and managers and frontline workers. They are on the job 24/7 and working with council and guiding us along to make good decisions. They care deeply, deeply about the city, and our council is so lucky to have them with us and guiding us. And we also have, I didn't bypass them on purpose, but today our public safety leaders are here as well. And in the past year, we appointed a new fire chief, Dwayne Killingbeck's with us, and a new deputy chief, Nina McCarthy, is with us. And we also have our brand new police chief, Chief Roger Brown, with us. Stand up, please, ladies and gentlemen. Let people see you. There's Nina over there. And as I mentioned, my council. We're 13 individuals, all type A, all with our own particular passions and interests. But I tell you, folks, we work together all the time. We work our differences out and collectively make what we try to make the best decisions we can for the city of Fredericton. So I'm really proud to serve with that team. So thanks, team, for everything you bring to the table and for challenging each other to always do better. And we do that all the time. And of course, and I always try, the older I get, the more emotional I get, but I'm not going to get emotional today. Team O'Brien, right here, led by the leader of the pack, my beautiful wife, Ann. Just a rock. She's my, everybody has to have somebody they can talk to, confidentially, and it's Ann. So Ann, thanks for always being there. And my 3 daughters, thanks, Ann. And 3 of my 4 daughters are with me, and look, they always have my back. Just try me. Try me on. One of those will take you on, I can tell you. So look, girls, I love you. And at the end, folks, no matter what, elected office, business, whatever, when you go home, it's all about family. And I'm very fortunate to have a very helpful family and supportive family. And I'm also very proud to be a professional engineer. And here's a picture that may show you something. Me, the Governor General, and the Lieutenant Governor, all engineers. There's one person missing, the Premier. But I remember all of a sudden, just before I came, I remember there was another picture. He popped into it. There he is. Trying to, actually, that's me photoshopping him in. He's a good sport. Another engineer. So, 4 people in different positions, all engineers. Coincidence? I think not, maybe, sir. So anyways. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get on to my talk here. I recently learned a new word that has quickly become a favorite. I heard this at a conference recently. Topophilia. It's Greek for love of place. Topophilia captures something that's hard to describe. We all have a special bond with our geography, our culture, our history, our home. It's really who we are. It's our connection to those we grew up with, the schools we attended, the public places and parks where we gathered to share great moments, those secret places where we sneaked our first kiss, maybe our first beer. In reality, we all want to be something bigger, something great. Great for our families and great for our communities. Today, I wish to speak to a few issues and successes and challenges. Yes, we have many challenges, but none too complex that we can't overcome together. And in doing so, it's my hope that we can enhance our feeling of topophilia. So, but there's a lot of things I can't talk about because I just don't have time. Yes, we're a national leader and a provincial leader in fiscal sustainability and responsibility. That was showed just the other day in the local media. We are renowned nationally for our long-term fiscal plan, our asset management, and our infrastructure renewal. Very proud of that. That's all what makes the city good. We've had consecutive years of record tourism and helping stimulate the economy. We do that well. But I'm not going to talk about that too much anymore because I haven't got time for it. So I'm going to talk about some larger projects that have dominated the radar for the past few years. Aquatics, performing arts, and the exhibition. So on the aquatics file, we have worked diligently, continually, on a path forward for a new aquatic centre for our region. Some doubted a way could be found. We didn't. We have struck a partnership with UNB, and a passionate citizen has stepped forward to lead the initial design and fundraising components of the project. Now, we must remain focused on supporting that citizen leader as he engages regional, provincial, and federal partners, the private sector, and the active aquatic users to deliver a project that we're all going to be proud of, that will be a major recreational asset for the entire region. We will succeed as partners on this project, or we will fail as partners on this project. But this council is committed to pulling its weight, and we will work diligently with the others to keep the project moving as best we can to the finish line. This project has wind in the sails, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned. Performing Arts Centre. And while I'm at it, this is Misha Bruger-Gosman. Misha today is undergoing double heart bypass surgery on a heart problem that she inherited from her father, who just passed away a week ago, Sterling, a former councillor of St. John. So we wish the Gosman family well, and we wish Misha well as she undergoes an operation today. So, Regional Performing Arts Centre. It's where current and aspiring performing artists of all demographics, interests, and genres will be able to dance, sing, act, and perform. Fredericton is a growing city, ladies and gentlemen. It's a cultural city, a city with the youngest demographic in the province, and a city that is attracting and retaining an ever-increasing amount of newcomers. Performing arts is important to attracting young adults and businesses to our city, to attracting more newcomers, to making this great little city all it can be. In other words, it's important to our continued success. The Venerable Playhouse has been, is, the heart and soul of our downtown. But it's aged, and it's near the end of life, and it cannot feasibly be repaired or renovated. It's a fact that some in our community stubbornly refuse to accept, even when the fact and proof is provided. What's up with that? Maybe an engineer has to explain it one more time. But it's a fact, ladies and gentlemen. The Playhouse system could go tilt at any time. The taxpayers of Fredericton own this building, and as stewards of the taxpayers' assets, this council cannot allow this key facility to be no more, to be forced to close and in turn draw the curtain on performances, and tell all our present and aspiring present artists that their passion, perhaps their present and future careers, do not matter. They need a proper modern facility, just as Misha did, just as the next Marion Limpert needs a pool, or the next Matt Stairs needs a ballpark, or the next Jake Allen, go Jake, needs a rink. We replace aging water and sewer pipes, we replace crumbling asphalt and sidewalks, we replace worn-out equipment, and we need to replace the aged and worn-out playhouse. To this point, Council and our partner, the Playhouse Board, have started the process to find the right architectural firm to begin the design. Once secured, they will commence a detailed assessment and schematic drawings. There's ample time to discuss partnerships and scheduling for the final design and for the construction. For now, let's count on this as another project that has wind in its sails. NBX. Now, let's turn our attention to that and the 29 acres and facilities and the lands there. Last year, I described how crucial this area was or is to the future sustainable growth of the city. Again, some were repeatedly skeptical that a partnership could be reached between the city and the board of the NBX. Well, ladies and gentlemen, 2 months ago, we reached that supposedly unattainable agreement. And as partners, we are fully committed to working on a plan that respects the proud 200-year heritage of the NBX while finding a way to add much-needed development on those lands. We, the NBX and the city, have issued a call for citizen members for a development committee to oversee the development plans for the property. This 10-member planning steering committee will be announced any day and will begin work right away on charting the way forward. This could be one of the most unique developments in New Brunswick, with agro-tourism related functions, special events, exhibits and trade fairs, and of course the annual FREX, taking place with compatible housing of mixed density elsewhere in the property. Perhaps if a new exhibit building is in the plans, who knows, it could also provide community space for the new neighborhood, for family parties, social events and meeting space. Again, anything's possible at this time. New mixed-use residential on this land will also alleviate the intense pressure on developers and on the city to satisfy the red-hot rental market in our downtown core and Platte. The option available right now is to buy older houses and remove them. The NBX development will alleviate some of this pressure and allow more of these older homes to stay intact. The wonderful character of our downtown Platte can be protected while the NBX and the Frex finds new life, and the new residential units will provide a consumer market for our present and future new retailers and service providers. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the most exciting projects that surfaces only once in a generation. Again, many doubted our two organizations could find a way forward, but again, we did. And we look forward to working with the NBX board to bring this project to the ready, set, go stage as soon as possible. There it is. Say it with me. We have wind in our sails. Thank you. Free dippy dogs for everybody when we first break ground. Okay? Let's move on to economic development. It's the key, the catalyst of everything we wish to do in our city. How so? Without development, without the bold entrepreneurs that build and sell stuff, without the workers they support and the activity that creates, the city would not have the tax revenue that is necessary to support, maintain, and grow the city. The facilities, the parks and trails, the police and fire, the community grants, arts and culture, you name it. The amenities we all use and cherish, it's that simple. We often hear all council cares about is development, or it's all about the money. Those are ill-informed charges to make. We care about all aspects of running this city and making it such a wonderful place to live, work, and play. But it takes tax money, and it takes people to pay taxes. Let me present a dilemma we collectively face when it comes to fiscal sustainability in New Brunswick, and perhaps even in Fredericton by default. There are, whoops, there's a missing slide. There it is. I'll go back. There are about 750,000 people living in New Brunswick. Of those, about 350,000 work, and of those, about 100,000 pay no taxes. Do the math. That means that 250,000 residents pay tax payments are supporting everyone. That's just simply not sustainable. So in New Brunswick and here in Fredericton, do we need to focus on immigration, innovation, and economic development? Darn right we do, and we are. If you live here, it's impossible to escape the almost daily announcements of the tremendous innovation occurring in our city and our region. This is crucial, absolutely essential to our future prosperity. It will attract more people, more wealth, and more tax revenues to support the growing economy and our growing city. Do we have challenges? For sure. But if we stick to our plan, stick to what we do best, we will overcome them and continue to prosper. But speaking of challenges, let's address another dilemma. Did you know that 86.5% of the revenue the city has to run the city comes solely from property tax? 86.5%. Talk about you having all your eggs in one basket. We face annual inflationary costs, just as you do in your business or at your home. That is why residential and business growth and new development is crucial. Almost 90 cents of every dollar we spend comes from property tax. And if we don't grow by at least inflation every year, we lose ground. 12% comes from the rental of facilities, user fees, parking revenue, and the like. 1.5% comes from the $1.8 million provincial grant, unconditional grant. So let me explain how that works. Commercial properties pay property taxes to both the city and the province. The province collects and pools their share of this commercial tax and uses it to help redistribute funds back to the municipalities as an unconditional grant, based on an outdated archaic formula. This year, Fredericton businesses paid $29, okay, things are a little out of sync, but we'll catch it. This year, Fredericton businesses paid $29.7 million into the provincial coffer, and $1.8 million came back via the unconditional grant. That is only a 6% return rate. Moncton received $3.9 million, and St. John $17.4 million. On a per capita population basis, our 2019 grant is $31 per resident, Moncton's is $54, and St. John's is $257. Wow. one can point a finger directly at that archaic formula and the need for municipal and taxation reform in New Brunswick. It was designed for a province that existed 50 years ago. The balance of our commercial tax payments, being 94% or $27.9 million, is going mainly to support unincorporated LSDs, local service districts, across the province that simply, today, just don't pay enough taxes to offset the services that they receive from the province or, by default, from the money that we provide to the province. I've talked a lot about this in the past, so that's enough for today, other to say that this is an outdated model and is a municipal and taxation reform must be addressed by the province, and they understand that. It's a tough issue to deal with, but that's what we're all elected to do. But I digress. Back to development. Our city is healthy and continues to grow by about 1,000 people per year. The next Stats Canada report, census report, comes out for the period of 2016-2021, will not come out to the year 2022. But we all know that right now our population is over 60,000 people. It's grown. For the 2021 census, Fredericton will join the club of being one of the Canada's CMAs, Census Metropolitan Areas, the 5th in Atlantic Canada, and those areas that have a population in the region of over 100,000 people. And they're Canada's major urban centres and economic engines. The primary benefit of being a CMA is being recognized as a major urban centre and a much higher profile with national and international commercial and industrial interest, which will lead to further economic growth. With our continued growth comes residential development. The real estate market is booming. In 2018, there were 874 house sales in Fredericton, and this year's sales are on pace to exceed that total. People are moving here. Our housing market is hot, and it's a great investment. In the 3 years to date of this current council, there has been over 1,000 new residential units built and over $400 million in development activity citywide. That's an impressive total for a city of 60,000 people. Most cities would, even larger than ours, would die for totals like that, ladies and gentlemen. Year to date, we're already at $74 million in development. Less than $2 million of that is due to government, meaning that our growth is being driven by the private sector. That is a very healthy sign and one that speaks to the extreme confidence in our city. Talk about wind in our sails. Specifically, downtown and urban development is driving this growth, just as our growth strategy predicted and planned. I love it when a plan comes together. Let's go back to, it's a little out of sync, but we'll get there. I don't know how it happened, but there we go. Main Street. Very positive things are happening on Main Street. Our partnership with Business Fredericton North to prepare a new plan for Main Street, now adopted, set the stage for the continued transition of Main Street from a highway commercial strip development to a more urban mix of ground floor retail and residential uses at the street edge. This ain't your grandparents' Main Street anymore. In fact, in the 3 years of this council, there's been over $6 million in development activity on the Main Street Union Corridor, with more on the way. Did I mention I love it when a plan comes together? It's working, and the future of Main Street is bright. Development activity in our downtown is absolutely exploding. $54 million worth over the last 3 years. 2 cranes are in the air, more on the way, and more people want to live here. Over the last decade, 500 residential units have been constructed in the downtown Platte, from Queen Street out to Connaught Street. And more have just been approved or soon will be, and they're in the development hopper. Our downtown is a gem. It's vibrant, with a unique mix of retail, commercial, and hospitality. In 2017 and 2018 alone, 24 new businesses opened. This year, there have been many more. Another expansion and another new business were just announced this week. Walk around and see it for yourself. Citywide, our robust growth is being stimulated by new private sector developments, such as industrial development driven by cannabis, cybersecurity, significant new retail, and also a very key component by immigrant-led business development. Welcome to all our newcomers. Planet Hatch has supported 225 startup companies over the past 5 years, creating more than 400 jobs. UNB's TME program has created 60 startups over the past decade, and great efforts by ONB and the efforts of many others in the startup ecosystem are driving new job and business creation. Thanks to all for all you do. We'll get back on this sync here in a second. Here, we're out of sync. The Cyber Park, under construction. on Knowledge Park Drive is a $37 million project and will feature 135,000 square feet of high-class, secure space. It is already 90% pre-leased and will open at the end of 2020. This centre will create hundreds of new high-end cyber-related jobs and will solidify Fredericton's already exciting and well-deserved reputation as a major cybersecurity hub, not only in Canada, but internationally. Watch this take off, ladies and gentlemen, and watch us continue to grow. More wind in our sails on cyber. Speaking of taking off, isn't it great to see the expansion of the Fredericton International Airport underway? Congratulations to everybody that helped pull that off. However, let's discuss one other dilemma. With all the pressure and demand for new construction and development, especially in our downtown, there is a growing tension involved with our city's heritage resources. The community needs to understand that the city has very limited resources and needs to make difficult decisions. In a current case, a building with significant heritage value was for sale for years, and there was no successful community-driven effort to save the building. Finally, a developer stepped forward to buy it with a proposal to remove it and construct apartments. Now, there is an understandable community outcry about the future of the building. But ladies and gentlemen, as I said, the city can't save every building. To save buildings, there needs to be a commercially viable proposal from individuals and groups to come forward. We need to solve this together, but it can't rest solely with us. But I digress. As previously stated, development lets us pay for all city operations, including one of our greatest assets, our urban forest. And somewhere in here, there's the picture of the forest, right there. That title, I met a new immigrant that came to our city maybe a decade ago, and when he walked around, he told me, he said, you live in a garden. We live in a garden, ladies and gentlemen. That picture is just a small example of what we have here. One of our greatest assets, like I said, our urban forest. We're one of the greenest cities in the country. From all perspectives, we lead the pack in preserving and building on our natural assets. Trees, parks, waterways. We enjoy an abundance of riches, and we need to both celebrate and safeguard them. It's right there on our crest, the noble daughter of the forest. And it goes way beyond that, being the city of stately elms. We have more than 20,000 trees growing along our streets, plus tens of thousands in our parks, of which we have 900 hectares of parkland and 138 parks, including Killarney Lake Park, which is one of the largest urban parks in North America. Bet you didn't know that. Did you know we have close to a 60% tree canopy in our city? Few, if any, cities can rival that. This canopy provides shade, residential cooling, sequesters air pollution, and reduces noise. For every dollar invested in urban trees, the return, the savings is over $4. So a 4-to-1 return on investment. That's not bad. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a $100 million living asset in our trees, $100 million. But we're hardly resting on those laurels. We've been taking active steps to preserve and protect our treasured trees. We changed the way we manage Dutch elm disease to a more proactive model to allow us to treat 250 trees so far this year. This new program will allow us to go from having to remove up to 10% of all our trees to less than 1/2% of the trees. That's a dramatic savings. Kudos to our staff and our tree commission for leading that way. Protecting and growing our living asset is a top priority for your city government. We don't talk enough about this leadership and these tremendous assets. Let's change that. The city enjoys a clean, safe water network, and that's no accident. We continue to reinvest in our water systems to ensure that it's safe for the generations to come. We decommissioned a sewer lagoon in order to centralize wastewater treatment, making it more efficient. It's essential work, but that ain't very sexy. But you know what? We do non-sexy pretty well, to the point where it's sexy. Make sense? I don't know. We developed a second protected well field so that we can better meet the water needs of our growing city. And I got a picture in there. There it is right there. The growing needs of our growing city. How many cities in Canada can boast of having one of the safest and pure water supply systems possible, and then having a secondary backup well field just in case? Not many, if any. Reinvesting in the city's water system is the best way to ensure a good water supply for future generations. Ladies and gentlemen, this is forward resiliency planning at its best, and something we can be very proud of. Topophilia. Another important water safety work is sometimes less apparent. For instance, the Victoria Circle project that is currently underway at the bottom of Smythe Street is really a water and sewer infrastructure project. We're replacing the 70 to 90-year-old pipes that supply critical water and sewage pipes beneath that intersection. Those old pipes are responsible for getting about half of the clean water to the downtown area, and they have to be replaced. And while we're at it, we're redesigning the intersection where, by the way, there's an average of 5 serious accidents, collisions per year, and top dressing it with a roundabout to make it safer for pedestrians and drivers. So it's not a roundabout project, it's a water integrity infrastructure project. People don't understand that. Again, not sexy, but you don't cut a red ribbon, and you don't cut a red ribbon in front of a water pipe. But it's work like this by our forward-thinking staff that keeps the city humming and makes it such a wonderful place to live. Ladies and gentlemen, we just lived, as I mentioned at the beginning, through a second bad flood in 2 years. There's a flood picture here somewhere. Stick with me. There it is. Councillors, staff, and myself have been talking to citizens, and we know many people are anxious. They want to share their experiences, and they want to contribute to making our city even more resilient than it already is. Because it's not only people in flooded areas who are impacted, but we're all in this one way or another through the damaged floods due to shared resources like infrastructure, roads, facilities, and business disruption. The city's been working on a climate adaptation for the past 20 years. The things we've done to make the city even more resilient to flooding aren't necessarily headline grabbers, not sexy, but they're vital. We put bigger pipes and valves, and notice the size, notice the small pipe in this, which was a stormwater pipe, replaced by the big pipe beside it. We've put bigger pipes in place to hold the 1 in 100-year storms plus a 20% buffer. Raised roads, and we've got higher standards for our stormwater systems. We've brought in zoning changes that require new builds to be at the 9-meter mark or above, for instance. And we know there's still more to do, but municipalities can't do it alone. The provincial and federal governments do need to step up in their leadership role. I've been having the conversations with our provincial and federal leaders. Many are here today, and they get it. And I'm confident that we'll be all stepping forward to the plate to help the municipalities. Council has asked staff to come up with a plan for engaging our citizens on flooding and flood mitigation. We need a community conversation around where we're at, what we can and what we can't do, and then what's next. Staff will be coming forward with a process for this in the coming weeks. So why all the talk about trees, about parks, about water, and about climate change? Because it's important, and we want you to know that we take this stuff seriously. Yes, we get challenged to do more, be better at it, but ladies and gentlemen, we have been national leaders on these files for decades, and we will continue to be. The city has reduced its greenhouse gas emissions by 35% over the last 15 years. The first city in Canada to achieve the reduction targets set out in 1992 by the Kyoto Protocol, the international treaty which extends the 1992 United Nations framework on climate change. The first municipality in Canada to do so. We plant, well, thank you. Thank you. We plant over 400 trees a year, more than all the other cities in New Brunswick combined. The regional landfill, once I get this back in sync, there it is. The regional landfill has a methane gas extraction system that captures between 45,000 and 60,000 tons of CO2 on a yearly basis. This is the equivalent of removing 15,000 vehicles a year off the road per year, or daily, sorry. Then the plant runs these gases through an engine which produces clean power, which is then placed on the NB power grid for the use of New Brunswick homes and businesses. The plant is capable of producing 2.1 megawatts of energy, which is enough to power 2,000 homes. So organic material into the landfill turned into clean hydro. Now that's sexy and that's smart. Ladies and gentlemen, people don't understand the things that go on about here that on a day-to-day basis that make this a better, greener, safer city. Or we have an aggressive smart energy program and have reduced our consumption by leaps and bounds. Council permits staff to put all the energy savings back into projects to further reduce energy consumption. To date, the reductions have offset all our hydro rate increases and have allowed new facilities to come online without increasing our overall energy bill. And in the case of another case of leading by example, we are in the process right now of installing solar panels at the library and an interior display screen so library visitors can see how much power is being produced. Great work to our staff. Ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to energy conservation, to protecting our precious water, to tending to our trees and adapting to climate change, we aren't a follower or a Johnny-come-lately on this file. We are a leader, and be proud of this, and please tell our story. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have challenges, but I trust now that you have a continued comfort that we're on top of things, we have our eye on the horizon, and we're prepared for the future. But there's no time for passivity. Passivity is not a solution. May I suggest that topophilia is? Our well-being relies on topophilia. Our sustainability relies on topophilia. You must love your place to sustain and endure the inevitable bumps in the road. You must love your place in order to know that we can always improve, that we can always do better. But it takes time and it takes effort and some sacrifice. Like all growing cities, we have issues to deal with, and some are social, such as homelessness. But in a wonderful expression of pride of place, of topophilia, our collective community has taken action to care for these fellow residents. In recent weeks, close to 20 people have been moved from the emergency shelter into safe apartments. And the novel microhome project that the city is intimately involved in should break ground this fall with the first 7 or 8 units, hopefully more. Residents of the shelter will be moved into these safe homes. This is pride of place, ladies and gentlemen, loving your place to be comfortable enough to reach out and share it with others, with newcomers and with those needing a helping hand. To be that shining, thank you, to be that shining city on a hill. Ladies and gentlemen, a ship in harbor is safe, but that's not what ships are built for. They are meant to be at sea, chasing the wind, chasing the horizon. Our ancestors arrived here on ships with hopes and plans for a prosperous future. Today, this city has the team, the partners, and the plan, our exciting growth strategy for an even more prosperous Fredericton. A plan that can position us as one of the most modern, prosperous, and vibrant medium-sized cities in North America. So let us all, partners one and all, punch our tickets and board our safe ship and set a course from our harbor towards the horizon, towards our destiny. All aboard. It's going to be one heck of a journey, ladies and gentlemen. And let the wind fill our sails. Let the wind fill our sails. Love your city. Love your place. Thank you. Be kind to each other and look after the less fortunate. Thank you for having me today. Thank you.
Don't want to play with the clicker. So thank you, Mayor Mike, for an insightful presentation into the future of Fredericton and how the wind is in our sails. As an appreciation of being our guest of honor this afternoon, the Fredericton Chamber of Commerce has made a donation in your name to Grace House for Women. The Chamber would like to congratulate you, City Council, and your staff for your continued capable stewardship of the city, particularly as it relates to Fredericton's fiscal situation and adhering to your debt cap. The spending restraint is a foundational element to the city's success and gives us a competitive advantage over many communities across New Brunswick and Atlantic Canada. It allows the community to make smart investments when needed, to avoid tax increases, and to make Fredericton an appealing place to invest private sector money. It is important that you keep it up. So once again, I'd like to thank all of our sponsors, our platinum sponsor, the Association of Professional Engineers and Geoscientists of New Brunswick, our gold sponsors, Elliott McCrae Hill and Freeman Audiovisual, our silver sponsors, Knowledge Park and RBC, and our bronze sponsors, Advocate Printing, Kane Boyer Benefits Group, The Daily Gleaner, F6 Networks, Kears Marketing, and Steve McGilvery Photography. And our immigrant entrepreneur table sponsor, Teeth Saunders Doyle, Chartered Professional Accountants and Advisors. And last but not least, a round of applause for Dave Lawrence and Up 93.1. So once again, thank you for attending this afternoon, and don't forget to take your dessert with you on the way out, and have a great day. Thanks.